Hey folks, Gway. This is a completely impromptu video, bear with me. So I was just scrolling through YouTube, getting some information for an upcoming video, the video that I actually wanted to do right now, and I'll see if I have it in me to do it in a second, but I stumbled across a short clip on Right Wing Watch. Yes, I know I may have an addiction, I can deal with that. But I stumbled across this video on Right Wing Watch. The algorithm in the sky decided to give it to me. And it was about a pastor who, Jack Hibbs, who took it upon himself during his talk at his church to tell the congregation that they have to vote for the Hall of Fame baseball player who's running an election in that area. And Jack said, you've got to vote for this guy. Now, yes, this is that sounds infuriating to a lot of people. Absolutely, because here's a guy on the pulpit, behind the pulpit, in the pulpit, telling the congregation who they should vote for. And everybody out there who's saying church and state and that they should lose their tax-exempt status, you're right. Jack crossed a line. Now, what he does, he tries to be clever. He says, well, I just realized I broke the law because I was in the pulpit, and I'm not supposed to say that kind of thing from the pulpit, so I'll go in front of the pulpit. And he goes on to expand upon his endorsement of the candidate. And he says, yeah, now that was legal. As a private citizen, he says, I can do that. So no. Maybe legally you can. Ethically, no. When we take on these positions as spiritual leaders, when I was ordained originally as a deacon in the Anglican Church of Canada, and then again as a priest in the Anglican Church of Canada, I gave up. Well, it came with the recognition that I was giving up being just a person. You gain an authority when you're wearing that collar and you're walking through a community. Everybody knows you as a priest. Everybody knows you as an ordained person. Everybody knows you as a person of God, a representative of God, a representative of your congregation, a representative of your church. You no longer have a private civilian identity. As a matter of fact, you rarely ever see me with a collar on when I do these videos, because you know me as a priest. I don't need to wear it, but I'm still a priest. When I go to the grocery store, they still see me in my neighborhood as a priest. In my former parish, there wasn't a place in that town that I couldn't go that they didn't see me as a priest. If I'm out at a pub, and I'm there, it is not uncommon. It is not uncommon for somebody to just walk up to me and say, I hear you're a priest. Can we talk? I'm not a private citizen in that moment. I'm a representative of God. I'm not a private citizen in that moment. I'm on the job. Somebody comes up and says, man, listen, I just found out my brother died. Well, listen, come back during office hours isn't an option. Come back when I'm on the clock isn't an option. They come to you and you become the person they need, because you have no other choice. One of the things that I like about living in the city is that if I'm out and about outside of my neighborhood, it's not everybody knows me as a priest. And so I get to live in a certain amount of anonymity, but I'm never really off the clock. And I'm never really a civilian, because if something were to happen in that moment, I'm the priest. If somebody was to recognize me and need me, I am the priest. If I'm around and I hear a reason to let the people know who I am and what I do, I'm the priest. This concept that Jack Hibbs offers, that, well, I'm not allowed to do it as a pastor, but as a civilian I can, as a private citizen I can. No, man, you are always their pastor. You are always the one who they bestow an authority upon. You are always someone that they believe they should listen to, that they believe speaks to them with an authority given by God. You are never without that authority. You are never without that status. And so it's never okay to endorse one candidate over another, whether we're in the pulpit, behind the altar, standing in the narthex of the church, or walking through a grocery store. And as a matter of fact, this is interesting. It's interesting how this happens. Someone commented on a video I recently did about the former guy. And in that video, I said, I'm not here to dissuade people from voting for Donald Trump. I'm here to dissuade them from following Donald Trump, because as Christians, we only follow Christ. And the person said, man, you got to, something along the lines of, you got to get off the fence. And you should be trying to dissuade people from voting for Trump. Well, this is the entire reason why. What Jack Hibbs did in this video clip is exactly why I shouldn't try to dissuade people from voting for one candidate over another. I carry with me, as a person of the cloth, an authority that can be used quite manipulatively. Can be used for an agenda that is outside of God's plan, of God's purpose. It can be weaponized against certain demographics and groups within our society. And so it's not okay to use the authority that's bestowed upon us as leaders in the church. It's not okay for us to use that authority towards political aims, regardless of how true and righteous those aims may be. I can do a video where I say we should not hold up this candidate and this political person or this celebrity as the Messiah. I can do that video. And I can do a video that says this person does not actually fit the mold of the character that some Christians are saying they resemble. I can do those videos. But to stand here and say you must, the only candidate you can vote for is X, Y, or Z, it would be a misuse of my ordination, of my authority, of my status, of my position. I'm never, ever, ever going to be a private citizen again. For those that know me, they will always see me as someone of authority, someone of spiritual authority, and it is incumbent upon me, with as much humility as I'm capable of mustering, and more, to never forget that, to always remember that I am servant first and foremost, that I am not master, that I am to set my own personal opinions aside, and to never try to impose those on the people who those people who trust me, those people who are listening to me. Jack, you're absolutely wrong, man. You gave up your private citizenship. You gave up your individuality. You gave up those identities. The minute that congregation raised you up and said, we trust you to follow. We trust you to lead us to Christ. We trust you that we will follow you where you where you direct us. We trust you as our shepherd. We trust you as our teacher. We trust you as our confidant, our confessor. We trust you as the one discerning God's call for this church. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that wisdom and discernment would rain down upon us all. I pray that those of us who are called to be leaders in the church would recognize that we give up ourselves in order to take on this responsibility, that we lose the identity of a private citizen when we accept the authority the congregations bestow upon us. And I pray that those of us in the congregations, that our ears would always be open for pride, that our ears would always be open for the personal agendas and the opinions of our leaders, so that when the time comes, we can recognize which aspects of these messages are to be ignored, which aspects of these messages are dangerous and counter to the teachings of Jesus Christ. Amen. Nemultus.